Okay, so hey guys, as promised, a very brief video just going through this judgment that was previously given Willkie a kick up the ass. So this is a bankruptcy decision. Okay, so the case is Johns Manville Corporation, et al. Order granting petitioners attorney's fees in part, denying petitioners attorney's fees in part. Before the court is the amount of attorney's fees listed in petitioners' affidavits, pursuant to the court's memorandum decision granting Marsh USA Inc.'s motion for contempt. Consistent with the court's contempt decision, attorneys for Marsh USA Inc., including the law firms of Willkie, Farr and Gallagher, Jackson Walker, where have I seen Jackson Walker? Jed Wallace? Is that Jed Wallace? So actually, yes, it is. Jackson Walker, that's where Charles Babcock works, who represents Jed Wallace. Oh, I hope this isn't, no one's going to have a go at Chip Babcock. Okay. So the law firms of Willkie, Jackson Walker and Brian Nelson submitted affidavits for attorney's fees incurred for the time spent litigating in this matter on the motion for contempt and the time spent litigating in the Mississippi courts on the motion for reconsideration and power appeal. The Willkie affidavit sets forth attorney's fees of $543,165.70 in connection with work undertaken by Willkie to address respondents' non-compliance with the court's prior orders and injunctions, including prosecution of the contempt motion. There is no further breakdown of attorney's fees indicated in the Willkie affidavit, except for the fact that all $543,165.70 in attorney's fees were incurred from the period beginning July 2nd, 2024 through and including November 22nd, 2024. Accordingly, based on the timeline and information provided in the Willkie affidavit, none of the $543,165.70 in attorney's fees were incurred in connection with litigating the motion for reconsideration or power appeal in the Mississippi courts. Rather, all of the amount in attorney's fees claimed in 2024 are attributable to litigating the motion for contempt in this court. The court concludes that the requested fees are unsubstantiated as to the time spent litigating in the Mississippi courts on the motion for reconsideration or power appeal and therefore unreasonable in the amount claimed for merely litigating the motion for contempt in this court. While Jackson Walker attorneys spent 14.5 hours prosecuting the motion for contempt, Willkie attorneys spent 476.6 hours prosecuting the motion for contempt. What? Right, okay. I knew Mr. Babcock was going to be totally reasonable. I'm happy. That's mad. I can't believe that. Yeah, I can't believe that both the law firms are in this. Okay, so yeah. That's crazy. Having given no further information or context as to the work undertaken apart from the time frame, this court finds a number of hours that Willkie attorneys spent on prosecuting the motion for contempt in 2024 to be unreasonable, and the number of hours that Jackson Walker attorneys spent on prosecuting the motion for contempt to be reasonable, obviously. While the rates charged by Jackson Walker as listed in the Jackson Walker affidavit are not identical to the rates charged by Willkie as listed in the Willkie affidavit, they are comparable. This court finds that Jackson Walker's hourly rates are reasonable. Accordingly, the court hereby reduces Willkie's attorney's fees to to $10,510 which is the amount claimed in the Jackson Walker affidavit for the time spent prosecuting the motion for contempt in this court. This court believes that $10,512.50 is a reasonable amount to compensate Willkie for attorney's fees incurred in connection with litigating the motion for contempt in this court over a 4-month period. The Jackson Walker affidavit lists $49,010 in attorney's fees incurred in connection with the work undertaken by Jackson Walker to defend Marsh in the Mississippi action, the Para appeal, and to address respondents' non-compliance with the court's prior orders and injunctions, including the prosecution for motion for contempt. The Jackson Walker affidavit properly breaks down attorney's fees earned from litigating the motion for reconsideration and Para appeal in the Mississippi courts, $38,497.50, and attorney's fees incurred from litigating the motion for contempt in this court, $10,512.50, for a total of $49,010. After a review of the Jackson Walker affidavit, the court finds $49,010 to be a reasonable and substantiated amount incurred in connection with litigating the motion for reconsideration and Para appeal in the Mississippi courts and litigating the motion for contempt in this court. The Brian Nelson affidavit sets forth attorney's fees of $5,959.10 in connection with work undertaken by Brian Nelson to defend Marsh in the Mississippi action and Para appeal. The Brian Nelson affidavit clarifies that all $5,959.10 in attorney's fees were incurred in connection with litigation in the Mississippi courts. After review of the Brian Nelson affidavit, this court finds that $5,959.10 to be a reasonable and substantiated amount incurred in connection with litigating the motion for reconsideration and Para appeal in the Mississippi courts. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered that respondents shall pay $10,512.50 to Willkie, $49,010 to Jackson Walker, and $5,959.10 to Brian Nelson within 14 days of the date hereof. So that's just nuts. Willkie were seeking over $500,000, $543,165.70, and they only got $10,512.50. Jackson Walker, who again who represents Jed Wallace, got the entirety of what they were asking, $49,010. As did Brian Nelson. He got $5,959.10. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, but this is such a great example of underhand tactics. As this should, not ruin, but it should do some damage to the reputation of Willkie as a law firm. And hopefully people will check their bills more thoroughly before paying anything and not hinge all their hopes that they will just, be able to lump them into a fee motion and recover them from someone else. Okay, guys, that's our little bit of entertainment for today.